Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's newsletter is going to be letting other people run your life. A lot of people are guilty of trying to live their lives according to the expectations of their significant others, their friends, their family, especially their parents. And in the process, they make themselves miserable. It's a really big issue in our society. And if you're one of those people who's always trying to please others and do what they say you want or what they think is best for you, even though deep down it doesn't feel aligned with your heart, it doesn't feel right to you, the longer you try to live your life that way, the longer you're going to suffer and struggle. And this email that I got from this particular viewer, this is a guy I also did a email coaching email for him. And on my website, you'll also see his original email to me and also the response that I wrote back to him. And obviously, I'm going to go take it even further, and I'm going to discuss his email in this video newsletter. This particular guy, he had moved out west to live with his girlfriend, and then his parents and his family were just busting his balls constantly, saying, you need to be here, you need to be doing this, you need to be focused on your career here. So he got up and he left and he moved back to move his parents, and he still wasn't happy. His girlfriend obviously wanted him where he was. And in the process of the fact that he moved away to please his parents, it led to the end of his relationship, even though his career's going well and he's making good money. I mean, this guy's an adult, and he's basically acting like a little boy in how he goes about his life, and he's making himself miserable. He's putting his needs, his goals, his desires, and his wants completely last because he's trying to please everybody else, but he's never focusing on what he really wants, and he's making himself absolutely miserable. So I got a quote that I wrote on this particular topic, and then we're going to go through his email. And the quote says, "You can't live your life according to other people's expectations. If you live your life by constantly trying to please others and do what they think is best for you, you will only make yourself miserable in the process. Being happy and fulfilled in life requires you to be able to spend your time in your own way. That means working in a job, career, or business that you love and spending your time with the kind of people you love and enjoy. Without the freedom to be who you are and to create the life and lifestyle you want, you will never allow yourself to truly enjoy your life." As I'm sitting there trying to read this, I'm cracking up thinking about something. One of my assistants is in the other room, and she had the flu recently, and she's been coughing. And I don't know if you ever saw, this is the time of year where all the Christmas movies are out. If you ever saw the National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, where there was a part where everybody's Chevy Chase and their whole family are sitting around the Christmas table, and this dog called Snot, he's got snot coming out of his nose. Like the family, what's his name, Randy Quaid's dog, and his character. The dog's underneath the table, and you hear this, and like the whole table shaking. And so I heard my assistant coughing, and it just reminded me of that scene in the movie. And that's one of the funniest movies I've ever seen. It's a great movie, especially during the holidays, and so that's why I was cracking up. And I may continue to crack up as I'm reading this email, as I'm thinking about it. So let's go through his email. He says, "Hey Corey, I'm completely melting down. I've written you a few times before, but I'm in a bad place mentally and emotionally. Here's my story. I moved to the West Coast with my girlfriend in January of 2012, and I couldn't have been any happier. At that point in time, we were dating for about a year and a half, and she was a knockout, and it was love at first sight for me. After living there for a few months, I grew incredibly homesick because I missed my family back east. My family was doing its best to guilt me into moving home, and my girlfriend was doing her best to keep me on the West Coast with her. Long story short, I feel like I was in the middle of a tug of war, and I would feel like a large part of me would be missing regardless of the choice I made. What about you? What about you? What you want? What about what's important to you? You're not really even looking at that. You're looking, oh, my girlfriend wants me here for obvious reasons, and my family wants me here, and I love my parents, I want to please my parents, and I want to make them happy, and I want to get them off my back, because they're constantly guilting me and busting my balls. But there's no mention of what he wants, or what he would like to do. And that's the third option that he really needs to look at. And that's part of the problem. Because he does what his girlfriend wants, he's not happy. He does what his family wants, he's not happy. It's like, why? Because he's not doing what he wants. It's like, he can't possibly feel free when you're living your life according to other people's expectations and the goals and dreams that they've set for you. He says, I became so stressed out that it was difficult for me to even speak about what was going through my head. Mentally, I essentially shut down and was unable to even think. I've never been so stressed out in my life. Well, dude, if you'd been following your own heart and your own curiosity and your own intuition and doing what made you happy, it's like what Jim Rohn said. I'll take care of me for you, and you take care of you for me. In other words, you need to be focused on what makes you happy and doing what makes you happy and excited and creating a compelling life. And if you don't like living where your girlfriend is living, you don't like living where your parents are living, where do you really want to live? And you need to up and move somewhere else then if that's what works for you. He says, in hindsight, I made the wrong choice. I told my girlfriend I needed to go back to the East Coast for a month or two in order to get things straightened out with my family, and that I'd return to the West Coast soon thereafter. Unfortunately, she was hesitant to have me back to the West Coast. Now, why do you think that would be? Because you haven't done anything to cause her to trust your masculine core. Because at the end of the day, she sounds like a good woman. She could tell that you're not living your life according to what you want to do. You can't even make your own decisions. It's like any woman's going to look at that and say, this guy, he's a fucking pussy. He hasn't even grown up yet. He doesn't know how to stand up to his parents. He doesn't even know who he is. He can't even stand up for himself and what he wants. And I'm supposed to love his life, and then you're just going to take off and go hang out and do what mommy and daddy want? It's like, come on, dude, you're an adult. It's time to put your fucking big boy pants on and start acting like a man. So after you leave her, which is basically being weak and trying to please your parents, that's going to turn any woman off. He says she always had commitment issues with men she dated, and it took me over a year for her to consider us to be exclusive boyfriend and girlfriend material. See, this is his way of trying to absolve himself from any responsibility. Oh, well, you know what? It's just her commitment issues. That's the real problem. No, dude, you're acting like a pussy. You're not acting like a man. Because in the beginning of the email, you said you really wanted to be with your girlfriend. But instead, you left, and you went and moved back home to please mom and dad. Any good woman would tell you, what do you want to do? I want you to make the decision. They want to sit back, relax, and follow your lead. But if you don't act like a leader, they're not going to trust your masculine core enough to back off and let you be the leader. He says she would often send me text messages and emails about how much she missed me, especially during Christmas and the other holidays, but she would always say to me, if you move back here, and this is what I was just saying, look what she says. If you move back here, you need to do it because you want to do it for yourself, not because of me. That's what a good woman will say, because she wants you to be there because that's where you want to be, not because you're there because you're trying to please her. Because she knows that you're acting like a pussy when you're doing things to please other people instead of what makes you happy. Because she doesn't want to be with a man who's unhappy and is not strong enough to make himself happy. Because if he's not strong enough to make himself happy, he's not going to have anything left over. His cup's not going to be running over, so to speak, to where he has enough to give to her and maybe eventually your children if you end up staying together, getting married, or having kids together. You're making yourself look totally weak and look like a big fat fucking floppy cock pussy. Not that that makes any sense, but floppy cock, Stifler, you ever seen the American Pie movies? But that's what you're doing. You're just kind of all over the place. You're just blowing whichever the way the wind blows. What's so bizarre is that she asked me if I would take her home state's bar exam for her, which I did. So that's kind of, you're an attorney, and that's kind of illegal, dude. And immediately after I passed the exam, she said that she was going to focus exclusively on her own business. It's like she wanted me to move back without blatantly asking me to do so. That's because she wanted you to make up your own damn fucking mind. That's what she wanted. She ain't going to ask you to move back. She's not going to tell you to move back. She's going to tell, sure, she'll say, I miss you, and I'd love to see you, but she wants you to move back just because that's what you want to do. But it's like you're like acting like a little boy waiting for mommy and daddy to tell him what to do, and you're treating your girlfriend like your mommy, saying, gee, mommy, what do you want me to do? It's a total turnoff. He says, I was so confused and frustrated over this. Well, if you've been thinking and doing things, thinking for yourself and making your own decisions, doing what you wanted to do, it wouldn't be a problem. What's really frustrating is you're sitting around waiting for somebody to tell you what to do. It's like, dude, you're a fucking adult. Come on now. He says, unfortunately, my ex-girlfriend and I have been stuck in this rut for quite some time because you still haven't made a decision yet. Sometimes she will reach out to me via text and say that she thought of me because something triggered a happy memory we had, but her actions are not aligned with her words. Because you're not congruent with your words. You're not acting like a man. So why on earth have you done anything to give her any evidence that you know what you need to do and you're making decisions to do that? You're sitting around waiting on your girl to tell you what to do. Never going to happen, dude. I know her incredibly well, and I believe that she is afraid to have me move back only for her because it would stress her out. Again, more evidence that he's not thinking about moving back because that's what he wants to do. He's only going to even consider doing that if that's what she says she wants him to do. You're not acting like a man, dude, and that will turn any fucking woman off. She said 2 weeks ago that if I moved back, it would be like we'd have to start all over, which I completely agree with. If I moved back, I'd follow your routine of hanging out, having fun, and hooking up with no references to a relationship, being exclusive, etc. Dude, if you wanted to live there, if that's what you really want, you'd get off your ass and you'd move there. We've been broken up for over a year, and I've made huge sacrifices for her over that period of time, but I simply can't let her go mentally. I'm so mind-fucked. If you want to live out there, go move out there. And if you end up having to getting back together with her, great. And if you don't, you'll find somebody better. But at some point, dude, you got to make a stand. You got to say, Mom, Dad, I love you guys, but you know what? I'm a fucking adult now, and you need to let me live my own fucking life. And if I want to live out in the West Coast, I'm going to live there. If I want to move to fucking Tahiti, shave my head, my ass, and become a monk and chant and zen out all day, well, that's my fucking prerogative. You need to back off and stop trying to tell me what to do and stop giving me these guilt trips. If you don't have anything loving and supportive to say of the choices that I'm making, keep it to yourself, because I really don't want to fucking hear it. I had to have that conversation with my dad back in my late 20s when I started my own business. He wanted me to stay working for the job that I was working. I was miserable there. And I just told him no fucking way. In a nice way, I said, I don't want to hear your opinions on what I should and shouldn't be doing. I'm doing what makes me happy. You can either support me or I don't want to hear about it. I mean, my dad was very controlling and very emotionally and mentally and physically abusive when I was younger. And at that point, I was an adult. I wanted to do what I want to do. I was not going to let him impose his will on me or tell me what I should or shouldn't be doing at that point in my life. Especially when I looked at how he lived his life. So he continues on, I work on myself, I go to the gym almost every day, and I'm working at a great job with great people, but I feel completely unhappy. I'm doing what I thought I always wanted to do since I was 8 years old, and I feel completely depressed because I fucked up my relationship with my ex. My ex and I are both in the same profession, which adds to the deep bond that we have because we both went to school together, but I don't want to look back on my life in 30 years and totally regret not moving back to the West Coast to see if I could re-attract her. Wrong mindset, dude. So what you just said is I'm only considering moving back there if I can re-attract her, but I'm not sure I can get her back, so therefore I think I'm just going to stay here until I'm sure I can get her back. It's like, come on, man. It's like, fuck. Make a fucking decision. What do you want? Do you want to be where you're at, or do you want to be in the West Coast? And if you're going to consider moving to the West Coast, you got to think of it from the possibility of say you're never going to get your girl back. Say she's dating some other guy at this point and she runs off and gets married with him and she's out of the picture. Would you want to live on the West Coast with her not in your life and you not talking to her anymore? Is there enough good things going on in the West Coast for you and your career and the lifestyle and the people out there that would cause you to want to stay there and live there without your girl? If the answer is yes, then fucking move back there. And if the answer is no, then either stay where you're at or move someplace else where you really want to be. He says, I want to give her the alpha male that she hasn't seen in over a year. Well, you got to quit wanting. You got to actually start doing and taking action. If you want to be an alpha male, you got to act like an alpha male. And nothing that I see here, it's like you're sitting on the fence waiting for somebody to tell you what to do. And I'm telling you that you need to make the decision that makes you happy. And stop acting like a fucking pussy, dude. Come on. It's time to grow up. He says, I want her to see how confident, strong, focused, and witty I've become around women, but it's nearly impossible to do this from across the country. That is an approval-seeking statement. You are all about seeking other people's approval. You know what? You don't fucking need anybody else's approval. That's a fact of life. An alpha male, his amazingness, his awesomeness is self-evident. He doesn't need to fucking brag. Alpha males, the real alpha males, are humble. They let their work and their deeds speak for themselves. But you, on the other hand, are thinking, well, if I can just get her approval and she'll take me back, then I'll feel good about myself. He says, I've been trying to reattract her from long distance from the East Coast, but it's been too hard. Distance is the only thing that is getting in the way of me successfully reattracting her. No, the fact that you keep acting like a fucking pussy is what's really getting in the way of you reattracting her. We lived together. When we lived together, we never fought, and whenever space was between us, things have gone downhill. The reason it went downhill is because you didn't act like a man. That's the big problem here. Now I can't get her out of my head. I'm an emotional wreck, and I feel like I'm not living my purpose, and I don't even know what the fuck I'm going to do tomorrow. I'm miserable. As a side note, I'm going out on the weekends. Girls approach me at bars, and I don't sit home like a pussy on the weekends feeling sorry for myself. But at the same time, I am completely miserable. I feel like I'm rotting inside. Each of us only has a finite amount of time on this earth, and I don't want to waste another second. Great. That's awesome. What do you want to do with your life? Forget about the ex-girlfriend who may or may not come back into your life. You need to think long and hard about what's most important to you. And on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm talking about the things that are 10, things that are the most emotionally compelling things that you can think of. And then you need to make choices that are aligned with what's in your heart, whether that's moving back to the West Coast or staying where you are, or maybe moving to a third place that you've kind of always wanted to live at. That's what you need to do. And in this particular case, reach out to your girl, make Skype dates once a week, and then let her start coming to you. Let her reach out to you, make a Skype video date and say, hey, you need to come and visit me, or hey, I'd love to have you come visit me, or I'd love to see you. The bottom line is one of you needs to travel and visit the other. You need to be hanging out, having fun, and hooking up in person. That's the only way things are going to get rekindled. But your biggest thing, dude, is you're sitting on the fence, and you need to get off the fence and start moving forward. Make a fucking decision already. Be a fucking man. Stop acting like a fucking pussy, dude. You're a better man than that. If you're smart enough to pass the bar for yourself and for your girlfriend and become an attorney and become successful at it, I mean, come on, dude. Seriously. Time to fucking grow up and put your big boy pants on. So if you'd like to get my help personally, the quickest way is to book a paid phone, Skype, or email coaching session. You can choose any of those options by going to my website, clicking the products tab at the top of your screen, and just follow the instructions for booking whichever option works best for you. And I will talk to you soon.